My name is Sarah and I'm 28 years old. I need to tell you about the day that changed everything. The day my own family used my emergency savings to buy my sister a brand new car, then acted completely shocked when I decided to take it back. What they didn't know was that I had been documenting everything, and I was about to show them exactly what happens when you mistake kindness for weakness. If you've ever felt taken advantage of by the people who are supposed to love you most, this story is for you. Stay with me because what happened next will probably surprise you as much as it surprised them. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. While my younger sister Emma got to focus on her social life and hobbies, I was working part-time jobs from age 16, helping with household expenses, and maintaining perfect grades. My parents always praised me for being so mature and such a helper. But looking back, I realized that was just their way of justifying putting adult responsibilities on a teenager's shoulders. By the time I graduated college, I had developed a pattern. Whenever there was a family financial crisis, and there always seemed to be one, everyone looked to me. Car repairs, medical bills, Emma's college expenses that weren't covered by her partial scholarship. I was the family safety net, and honestly I felt proud of that role for a long time. I worked 2 jobs after graduation to build up my savings, while Emma moved back home rent-free to figure herself out. I was living in a tiny studio apartment, eating ramen and putting away every dollar I could. My emergency fund had grown to $15,000, money I was saving for a house down payment, but my family saw it as their backup plan. The request started small. "Sarah, could you help with groceries this week?" Became Sarah, Mom's car needs new tires. Which became Sarah, Emma's laptop died right before finals. Each time they promised to pay me back. Each time they didn't. But I told myself that's what family does for each other. What I didn't realize was that while I was playing the role of the family hero, they were casting me as the family bank. And banks, as I was about to learn, aren't treated like people with their own dreams and needs. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning in March. I was getting ready for work when my mom called crying. Emma had totaled her car the night before. She was fine, thankfully, but the car was gone. "We don't know what to do," Mom sobbed. "She needs a car for her new job, and we don't have money for a down payment." Here's where I made the mistake I'd made countless times before. Instead of saying "that's tough but she'll figure it out," I said, "How much do you need?" "Just $8,000 for a reliable used car," Mom said. "We'll pay you back as soon as we get the insurance settlement." $8,000. More than half my house fund. But Emma needed transportation for her new job, and family comes first, right? Against every instinct screaming in my head, I agreed to transfer the money. But here's where the story takes a turn that still makes my blood boil. 3 days later, I'm scrolling through Emma's Instagram, and there it is. A photo of her grinning next to a brand new Honda Civic. Not used. Not $8,000. Brand new. The caption read, "Dreams do come true. Finally got my perfect car. Thanks to the best family ever. #blessed, #new car, #family love." I stared at that post for a full minute, my brain trying to process what I was seeing. A new Honda Civic costs at least $25,000. Where did the other $17,000 come from? I called my mom immediately. "Mom, Emma posted about getting a new car. I thought we were buying her a used one." The pause on the other end told me everything. "Well, sweetie, when we got to the dealership, they had such a good financing deal. Emma fell in love with the new one, and the payments aren't that much more." "Payments? I thought the insurance was covering this." Another pause. "Well, the insurance settlement might take a while, and Emma couldn't wait. So we used your money as the down payment and financed the rest." I felt like I'd been slapped. "You used my $8,000 as a down payment on a car that costs 3 times that much? Without asking me." "Sarah, don't be dramatic. It's still helping Emma get a car. Which is what you wanted to do." Dramatic. That word hit me like a physical blow. Here I was, having just given them over half my life savings under false pretenses, and I was being dramatic for questioning it. But it got worse. That weekend, the whole family gathered for Sunday dinner at my parents' house. Emma couldn't stop talking about her new car. The heated seats, the backup camera, the premium sound system. Everyone was congratulating her like she'd accomplished something amazing. "Emma's so lucky to have such a generous sister," my aunt said, smiling at me. "You're always looking out for everyone." Actually, Emma said, cutting into her pot roast, Sarah only helped with part of it. Mom and Dad figured out the financing for the rest. I couldn't have done it without all of you working together. I set down my fork. Part of it. Yeah, your contribution was great, but Mom and Dad are the ones making the monthly payments. They're the real heroes here. My contribution. Like I was just one of many people who had chipped in for a group gift. That's when something inside me snapped. Not in an explosive way, but like a cable that's been under tension too long finally giving way. I looked around the table at my family, my parents nodding along proudly, my aunt praising everyone's teamwork, Emma basking in the attention, and I realized that not one of them saw anything wrong with this picture. I excused myself to the bathroom and stood there looking at myself in the mirror. When had I become this person? When had I started accepting being treated like a resource instead of a family member? That's when I decided things were going to change. Over the next few days, I started really looking at my bank statements and text messages. What I discovered made me feel sick to my stomach. In the past 3 years, I had given my family $23,847. $23,847. Almost enough for a house down payment in my area. Money for Emma's textbooks, Mom's dental work, Dad's car repair, Emma's spring break trip, which they called educational travel, groceries, utilities, and now this car. How much had been paid back? $640. $640. I made a spreadsheet. Date, amount, stated purpose, amount repaid. The pattern was clear. Small amounts got paid back occasionally, but anything over $500 disappeared into the family black hole of financial amnesia. But the real gut punch came when I started looking at their social media posts during the same time period. While I was eating ramen and wearing thrift store clothes to save money for their emergencies, Emma had been posting photos from weekend trips, new clothes hauls, and restaurant dinners. Mom had been sharing pictures of her new jewelry and home decor purchases. Dad had posted about his golf club membership renewal. They weren't broke. They just had different priorities. And apparently I wasn't one of them. The final straw came when I found a text thread Emma had sent to her friend that she'd accidentally sent to our family group chat instead. It was about the car payment. The payment's only $340 a month, and Mom and Dad are covering it. Plus Sarah already paid for most of it up front anyway, so it's basically free money. She never asks for anything back because she likes feeling important. Win-win. She had deleted it within minutes, but I'd seen it. She likes feeling important. Like my kindness was some kind of ego trip rather than genuine care for my family. That night, I sat in my tiny apartment surrounded by my calculations and screenshots, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight them or demand my money back or create drama. I was going to do something much more powerful. I was going to give them exactly what they'd been giving me, nothing. The next morning, I opened my laptop and created a new email account. Then I started documenting everything properly. Every transfer, every promise to pay back, every social media post showing purchases made while claiming to be broke. I organized it all into a clear timeline with screenshots and bank records. I wasn't planning to use this as a weapon. I was planning to use it as a mirror. Then I started making other changes. I opened a new savings account at a different bank and set up automatic transfers so the money would be out of sight and out of mind. I changed my emergency contact at work from my parents to my best friend Lisa. Small steps, but they felt huge to someone who had spent a decade being everyone else's safety net. The real test came 2 weeks later when Mom called. "Honey, Emma's car payment is higher than we expected. Could you help us out with the first few months until we adjust our budget?" For the first time in my adult life, I said no to my family asking for money. "I can't help with that, Mom. I'm working on my own financial goals right now." The silence on the other end stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. "Sarah, this is Emma's transportation. She needs this car for work. I understand and I hope you guys figure it out. But you always help when we need it." I did help. I gave you $8,000 for a car. How you chose to spend that money isn't my responsibility. You're being selfish. This is family. There it was. The word I'd been waiting for. Selfish. For wanting to keep my own money that I'd earned. For having boundaries. For not automatically saying yes to being an ATM. "Mom, I love you, but I won't be able to help with Emma's car payments. I need to go now." I hung up and my hands were shaking. Not with anger, but with something I hadn't felt in years, the power of saying no. But I knew this was just the beginning. My family had spent years training me to be their financial backup plan. They weren't going to accept this change without a fight. I was right. The calls started the next day. First Mom, then Dad, then Emma herself. When I didn't answer, they moved to text. When I didn't respond to those, they showed up at my apartment. I opened the door to find all three of them standing in my hallway, looking like they were planning an intervention. "We need to talk," Dad said, pushing past me into my living room. "Sarah, we're worried about you," Mom said, settling onto my couch like she owned it. "You're acting very strange lately." Emma just stood there, arms crossed, looking annoyed. "I'm acting strange because I said no to giving you more money?" I asked. "You're acting strange because you're abandoning your family when we need you," Dad said. "We raised you better than this." That's when I pulled out my phone and opened the spreadsheet I'd prepared. "Let's talk about family," I said. "In the last 3 years, I've given you $23,847. You've paid back $640. Emma, your car payment is $340 a month, and you make $3,200 a month at your new job. Mom, you spent $400 on jewelry last month while telling me you couldn't afford groceries. Dad, your golf membership costs more per month than you're asking me to contribute to Emma's car." The room went dead silent. "You don't understand," Mom started. "Those are different things." "No," I interrupted, and my voice was steadier than I'd ever heard it. "You don't understand. You've been treating me like a bank for years, and when banks stop giving loans, you don't get to call them selfish." Emma finally spoke up. "We're family. We're supposed to help each other." "Help each other?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "When's the last time any of you helped me? When's the last time you asked how I'm doing, what I need, what my goals are? When's the last time you offered to help me with anything?" They looked at each other like they were trying to remember, and the fact that they had to think about it proved my point. "You help because you want to feel important," Emma said, repeating what she'd texted her friend. "Nobody forced you." And there it was. The truth they all believed but had never said out loud. "You're right," I said quietly. "Nobody forced me. I chose to help because I love you and I thought you'd do the same for me. But you know what I've realized? You don't help me because you've never had to. I've never asked for anything because I was too busy giving everything." I pulled up Emma's Instagram on my phone and showed them the car post. "Emma, you thanked the best family ever for your car. You know who paid for that car? Me. You know who's getting the credit? Everyone but me. You know who's expected to keep paying? Me." "Sarah, that's not," Dad started. "It is exactly that," I said. "And it's not happening anymore." Mom started crying. "We never meant to make you feel used. We knew we could count on you. You could count on me to give you money. There's a difference between being reliable and being taken advantage of." "So what, you're just going to abandon us?" Emma asked. "I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm just not being your ATM anymore. If you want a relationship with me that isn't based on my bank account, I'm here for that. But the days of emergency phone calls that are really just requests for money are over." Dad stood up. "You're making a mistake, Sarah. Family is all you have in the end. Then I guess it's a good thing I'm still your family even when I'm not paying your bills." They left after that, and I sat in my quiet apartment feeling something I hadn't felt in years: peace. The weeks that followed were hard, but not in the way I expected. I kept waiting for the guilt to crush me, for the doubt to creep in, for the loneliness to overwhelm me. Instead, I felt lighter. I started sleeping better. I stopped checking my bank account obsessively, waiting for the next family crisis to drain it. I bought myself a nice dinner without calculating whether I could afford it if someone needed emergency money. The family, meanwhile, was scrambling. Emma called me 3 weeks later, crying. "Sarah, I can't make my car payment. Mom and Dad say they can't help this month." "That's really tough," I said. "What are you going to do?" "What do you mean? What am I going to do? You're going to help me, right?" "No, Emma. I'm not. But I'll lose my car. Then you'll need to figure out a solution. Sell it and get something cheaper. Pick up extra hours at work. Ask for a raise. There are lots of options that don't involve me paying your bills." She hung up on me. 2 days later, she posted on Facebook asking if anyone wanted to buy a gently used Honda Civic. She ended up trading it in for a used Toyota and getting a smaller loan she could actually afford. Amazing how quickly she found a solution when she realized the Bank of Sarah was permanently closed. Mom called me a month later. "Sarah, I wanted you to know that we've been talking, and we realize we may have taken advantage of your generosity over the years." "May have?" I asked. A pause. "We did take advantage. And we're sorry. It was a start. I appreciate that, Mom. So, can we start over? Emma's really struggling with her new car payment, and... Mom, did you hear what I just said about taking advantage? But this is different. This is really an emergency. Some people, I realized, will never change. They'll apologize for taking advantage of you in one breath and try to do it again in the next. I hope Emma figures it out," I said. "But I won't be helping with car payments anymore. Ever." The real justice came 6 months later. I had saved enough for a down payment on a small house. When I posted pictures of my new home on social media, the comments from my family were, "Interesting. Mom, so proud of you, honey. How did you save up so much so fast?" Emma, "Wow, must be nice to have money for yourself." Dad, "Congratulations. Maybe now you'll have room for family to visit." They still didn't get it. They couldn't see the connection between me stopping their financial support and suddenly having money for my own dreams. In their minds, these were two completely separate things. But I got it. And that was enough. Living in my own home that I paid for with my own money was a revelation. I decorated it exactly how I wanted. I bought furniture without calculating how much I had left for family emergencies. I invited friends over for dinner parties where we actually talked about my life, my goals, my dreams, not just the latest family crisis I was expected to solve. My relationship with my family slowly evolved. We still talk, but the dynamic has completely changed. They can't call me with financial emergencies anymore, because they know the answer will be no. Instead, our conversations have started to focus on other things. Mom tells me about her garden. Dad shares funny stories from work. Emma actually asks how I'm doing sometimes. It's not the same relationship we had before, but it's healthier. They can't take me for granted anymore, so they have to actually make an effort to maintain a connection with me. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. There were holidays that felt awkward. Family gatherings where I could feel the resentment. Some relatives took their side, saying I was being cold and ungrateful. A few people stopped inviting me to family events, assuming I'd say no to everything now that I'd said no to money requests. But here's what I learned. People who only want a relationship with you when you're useful to them never really wanted a relationship with you at all. The family members who genuinely cared about me adjusted to the new boundaries. The ones who didn't, well, their absence told me everything I needed to know. I also learned that saying no gets easier with practice. The first time was terrifying. The 10th time was uncomfortable. The 20th time was just normal. Now when someone asks me for money, I don't feel guilty or anxious or responsible for their reaction. I just say no and move on with my day. My savings account grew faster than I'd ever imagined possible. Turns out when you're not everyone else's emergency fund, you can actually build wealth. I've been able to travel, invest, and plan for my future in ways that were impossible when every spare dollar was earmarked for family crises. But the biggest change was in how I see myself. For years, I had defined my worth by how useful I was to other people. If I wasn't solving someone's problems or paying for someone's expenses, what value did I have? Now I know the answer. I have value just for being me. My worth isn't measured by my bank account or my willingness to empty it for others. I'm not responsible for managing other people's financial choices or shielding them from the consequences of their decisions. I'm just responsible for living my own life well. And for the first time in years, that's exactly what I'm doing. If you're reading this and you see yourself in my story, I want you to know something. You are not responsible for other people's financial problems, even if those people are family. Your kindness is not meant to be taken advantage of. Your generosity is not an obligation. It's okay to say no. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to have limits. It's okay to have boundaries. 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 It's okay to prioritize your own financial security over other people's wants and poor decisions. The people who truly love you will respect your boundaries. The people who don't, well, that tells you something important about where you stand in their priorities. You deserve to live your own life, pursue your own dreams, and build your own future. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. What part of this story surprised you the most? Have you ever found yourself in a similar situation with family or friends? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing your stories and advice. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories about setting boundaries, family dynamics, and finding your own worth. Your support means everything to me.